Good morning to everybody and welcome to our new episode of Itanong mo kay Serpa. Assuming that we have already collected the data that you need in your study, what's next? In this discussion, we will talk about the answer as we dig into the pointers in analyzing and interpreting results. Our discussion will be grouped into three parts. Part 1 will focus on the basic presentation of results. Part 2 will talk about the basic writing of results. And Part 3 will deal on the basic reflections to the results. Without much ado, let's get started. There are three forms on how we could present our data. First is the textual form. Second is the graphical form. Third is the tabular form. Textual form means the use of words or numbers in the presentation of results. Results are presented in sentence form. When we say graphical form, we use graphs. When we say tabular form, we use tables. Easy so far. But we cannot just use any of these forms aimlessly. Textual form is appropriate when the volume of results that we want to present is few. Example, if you only want to present that there are 32 students enrolled in your class, you're not going to use a table having 32 as the only number, nor will you graph the number 32 alone. If that's the only value that you wanted to present, use the textual form. Sentence form. There are 32 students in the class. That's it. But if you wish to present results that are quite lengthy when textual form is used, the use of the graphical or the tabular forms are appropriate. However, if you want to induce to your presentation the elements of beauty, attractiveness, trends, and abrupt comparison of results, use the graphical form of presenting results over the tabular form. But if you are stern enough, you are free and allowed to use tables. There is no much issue going on here. Let us have this example. You surely have encountered something like this. While it may not be exactly as it is, its pattern has a story to tell. I want you to hold your breath because this kind of presenting results is wrong. Yes, it is wrong. Let us examine it carefully. The upper part is a table. It presents results. It shows that the destruction of properties had the mean of 2.82. Injuries of employees had a mean of 2.62, and so on. It is a tabular presentation of data. Below the data, it is written as I read. It is shown in the table that the destruction of properties had the mean of 2.82, 2.62 for the injuries of employees, and so on. The results are mere repetitions of the results in the table. Remember that there are only three forms of presenting results: textual form, graphical form, and tabular form. If you have already presented your results in tabular form and then presenting the same sets of results in another form, in this case is the textual form, darling, what's the point? However, I want to wash my hands because I do not want to get into troubles. While the scientific method is the universal basis for any research, remember that the conduct of research is partly institutional. We cannot go away from it. This is reality. What do I mean? When you are engaged in an academic institution and they insist that your review of related literatures must have been published from the past 3 years, you have to follow. This is the norm in the institution where you are in. But you are engaged in another academic institution and they insist that your review of related literatures must have been published for the past 10 years. You cannot blame those people in the first institution who insist on the use of a 3-year maximum publication allowances. Here's what I am trying to point out. When the panel of your research instruct you to present your results in tabular form and then textual form at the same time, follow them. Do not say, kasi po sabi ni Sir Pat, ganito, ganyan na gagawin. Hindi po ganon. I only discuss the statistical point of view of this issue because that is my role in this task. But remember that institutional jurisdictions are high above the statistical point of views. Listen to the authorities. They will set you free. Moving forward, let us talk about the graphical presentations of data. You already know this, but the question is, are you sure? Let's begin with the line graph. It is a graph of lines. But more than that, the horizontal axis, yung mga numero sa ibaba po ng graph, should be an element of time, while the vertical axis should be the frequencies or the number of cases. Line graph is used when you want to present the progression of results over time. In the use of line graph, remember that there is an element of time going on here. In this example, the line goes up, meaning to say more children are injured or killed in road crashes over the past years from 2010 to 2015. I do not like that, but that's how the graph works. Pie graph. It is used when you want to present a certain portion compared to the whole. It is usually applied but not limited to reports on consumptions and financial matters. Bar graph. It is used when you want to show abrupt comparisons among groups or categories. Looking into the given bar graph, the horizontal axes are groups or categories. This axis needs to be nominal by nature. Categorical. Groups. Remember that in the line graph, this horizontal axis is time. The vertical axis remains the frequencies or the number of cases. Bar graphs had bars. Histogram also have bars. So what makes the difference? The bar graph, may siwang po ang mga bars. Sa histogram, wala pong siwang sa pagitan. Does it make sense? Yes. The horizontal axis in a histogram composed of intervals. The vertical axis is consistently the frequency or the number of cases. If you have not noticed yet, the horizontal axis is a game changer in the graphical presentation of results. If it is an element of time, line graph. If it is nominal, categorical, groups, bar graph, may siwang. If it is interval, histogram, walang siwang. I hope all those are clear. Pictograph. Pictograph uses pictures where every image is associated with a given quantity. In this example, each smiley represents 4 students. Moving forward to the second part, let us focus discussing the basics of writing results. You surely have your distinct ways of writing your results, partly influenced by the university from which you have earned your academic degrees. There are universities requiring the discussions of comparing the results of your study to the reviewed literatures. That's what the number 4 in our list tells us. And then, even followed by drawing the implications of the results are written in number 5. But since in this discussion we are trying to tackle all simple things first, we will not strive to be ambitious enough, trying to hit the stars, to discuss all those complex things. We will focus on the basics, the presentation of results, the analysis of results, and the interpretations of results that you are all going to do by the time that you are already done to the data gathering phase of your study. So far, we have skimmed already the presentation of results, to wit could be in textual, graphical, or tabular form. Analysis of results. Analysis is about digging into the results that we are trying to tell. We have to be analytical, meaning to say, being detailed-oriented. Hihimayin po natin kung ano ang sinasabi ng mga resulta. We are going to have deepened discussions about what the results are trying to say. Example, results show that only 2% of your students passed the assessment. Analyze mo ngayon yan. You are going to discuss bakit 2% lang ang pumasa. Bakit? Bakit ganyan ang resulta? Your answer will be your analysis in your results. When analyzing, be comprehensive. Deepen your analysis, utang na loob. Be analytical. Be comprehensive. Alam po ninyo, in a graduate school, a doctorate student is presenting something. And then the professor stood up and said, "Is that an elementary thinking? Please sit down, you're not prepared." Taray ng lolo mo, no? That's not me. Strive not to be humiliated by lame analysis. If an analysis is not deep, it's not an analysis. Kaya naman, wag po kayong gumawa ng research na hindi po ninyo linya, na hindi ninyo specialization. Ang bihira naman yun. Mathematics teacher ka, tapos gagawa ka ng research tungkol sa English, wag ganon. Sa dinami-dami ng problema sa mathematics na pwedeng i-research, mga problema pa talaga sa English. Ang nakita mo, kagaling. Conducting a research needs academic authority. Kung hindi pwedeng i-research, mga problema pa talaga, kung hindi mo teritoryo, huwag kang pupunta. Remember that alignment is very important when it comes to identifying the nature of your study. Once you are done to your analysis, you are ready to interpret. Kung sa analysis, we dig into the details, hihimayin natin Pagdating sa interpretation, it's a different thing. Sa interpretation, we are going to write the results on a bird's eye view. Meaning to say, we will write what the results are telling us as a whole. What is the big picture? Ano ang pangkalahatan na sinasabi ng mga resulta? The answer is your interpretation. An interpretation need not to be so lengthy. Mas mahaba po ang analysis compared to the interpretations. Let us have examples. In this table, it shows how assured the grade 12 students are in their chosen career before and after the work immersions. Sa mga hindi po nakakaalam, sa senior high school, bago po mag-graduate ang estudyante, kailangan po muna nilang dumaan sa work immersions where they will be exposed to the industries. Parang OJT version po siya. Hawig po doon. In these immersion activities, dapat magkaroon na ng reflections ang estudyante kung ano ba talaga ang gusto niyang mangyari sa buhay niya after senior high school. In this table, the researchers show how assured the students are to their career selections before and after work immersions. Ayan na po ang presentation of data natin in tabular form. Tabular form lang po lahat ang ipapakita ko. Wala pong makakapigil sa akin. Ginusto ko yan. Let us analyze. This is not the entire analysis section po of this table. Let's see how it should be analyzed. It is shown in the table that the computed mean 4.62 of STEM students before the work immersion is higher than the computed mean 4.45 after the conduct of work immersion. Because the conducted work immersion gave a bit of confusion to STEM students. Kung mapapansin po ninyo, ang EIM mula 3.68 naging 3.96, tumaas. Ang food and beverage mula 3.80 naging 4.33, tumaas. Ang ICT mula 3.51 naging 3.61, tumaas. Ang ABM mula 4.32 naging 4.51, tumaas. Ang HUMS mula 4.03 naging 4.21, tumaas. Pagdating sa STEM, mula 4.62 naging 4.45, bumaba. STEM lang ang kaisa-isang section na bumaba ang numero. Ang tanong, anong misteryo ang gumimbal sa STEM? Anong nangyari sa immersions nila? Palpak ba ang immersions nila? Nilagay ba sila sa industries na hindi naman nila gusto? May anomalya ba silang nakita doon sa industry kung saan sila dinala? Bakit bumaba ang assurance level sa mga puso nila? Yun po ang kailangan po nating i-discuss. Ganyan po mag-analyze. Kukutuhin po ninyo. For example, na naka-flash ngayon, isang sentence lang po ang nakalagay dyan. Pero sa manuscript, buong analysis ang nakasulat. Kaya po ba? Kakayanin. Interpretation of results sa kabuuan. Ano ang kwento? The computed grand mean 3.99 before work immersion among all the sections is lower than the computed grand mean 4.18 after work immersion. This indicates that the conducted work immersion has increased the assurance of the students in their chosen careers after senior high school. Overall, napataas po ng immersions ang assurance ng mga bata sa mga karera na gusto nilang tahakin pagkatapos po nila sa senior high school. And it ends there. 1 to 3 sentences are enough po para sa interpretation. Ganyan po ang basic na gusto nating mabasa sa mga manuscripts po ninyo kapag tapos na po kayo sa research po ninyo. Basic po. Kung gusto po ninyong dagdagan ng linkage discussion between your results and the reviewed literatures, gusto ninyong dagdagan ng implications, and many more, sige lang po. Basta, pagdating sa presentation, analysis, and interpretation of data, please, do them right. Another example. This time, a lot simpler ang ating presentation of data compared to the previous example. This is a study where the researchers developed a new hair relaxing product. They are trying to present an assessment to the smell of their product. In your tables, if you could arrange your results in descending order, that's good. In this example, the results are arranged from highest to lowest. I like that. This is our presentation of data. It is done in tabular form. Analysis of results. It is shown in the table that the respondents are united, that the product are easy to determine by smelling, because the respondents were able to identify most of the ingredients one by one. Conducting a research is not only about distributing an instrument and then collecting them after some times. Tapos, magmumukmuk na lang po kayo on your study table, trying your best to analyze the results. Hindi po ganon. Your instrument, regardless whether you are conducting a qualitative or quantitative research, is only a tool. It is only a tool. It is not the be-all and end-all. This implies that if you need to ask follow-up questions to your respondents or participants, then do so. Follow-up questions are powerful assets. Interpretation of results. The computed grand mean, 3.75, indicates that the smell of hair-relaxing Glim Cube is much fragrant. That much fragrant interpretation there is based from the point scale interval that we have studied earlier. And it ends there. Another example. In this study, two products were compared. The product of the study and the commercial product. Well, to be honest, we will need a strong foundation of statistics to make this right. But if you can't do it, let your statistician do it for you. Analysis of results. The table shows that the computed value of T, 3.195, is greater than the critical value 1.672 at alpha level 0.05. This indicates that the null hypothesis stating that there is no significant difference between lumpiang Shanghai and the commercial product in terms of appearance is rejected. There is a difference between lumpiang Shanghai and commercial product in terms of appearance. In favor of the lumpiang Shanghai, because the computed mean for the lumpiang Shanghai 4.56 is greater than the computed mean for commercial product 3.96. The technical basis of this analysis has been partly discussed already in our previous discussion. In this discussion, that is intended as introductory and basic in nature. Pardon me for not digging that much for now. This is not yet the proper time. As long as you get the idea, our objectives have already been met. Interpretation of results. The product of the study is better than the commercial product in terms of appearance. That's it. Next example. In this study, the intensity of threats before and after the installation of CCTVs on selected establishments was compared. A not so familiar statistical treatment was used, Wilcoxon signed rank test. It is a test of difference considering the element of time between two non-parametric values. Let's do this. Analysis of results. The computed Wilcoxon signed rank test W10 indicates that the z-value negative 2.27 has a p-value 0.02. Since the computed p 0.02 is less than the alpha level 0.05, this means that the null hypothesis stating that there is no significant difference in the intensity of threats before and after the installation of CCTV is rejected. There is a significant difference in the intensity on threats before and after the installation of CCTV. The computed z-value, negative 2.27, is in favor after the installation of CCTV because the intensity on the destruction of property and death threats is addressed after the installation of CCTV. Interpretation of results. The installation of CCTV with regards to the intensities of the threats is effective. Last example. This is a study that investigated the conceptual and computational difficulties of STEM students in pre-calculus. Results were used as basis for a proposed work text. That is our presentation of data. It is prepared in tabular form, analysis of results. This is only a small portion of the 3-page analysis of results of this table. Consistent with the computed mean percentage score and proficiency level, the students had the best performance in analytic geometry. MPS equals 58% and PL equals 61.11%. This means that the students got slightly more than the half of the items correctly, and more than half of them passed the assessment in analytic geometry. In this study, the score of a student is considered passed when it is at least 60% of the number of items by unit and by the entire test. The more than half achievement score of the students may be linked to the exposure of students to similar competencies during their junior high school studies. Hindi ko alam kung na-absorb po ninyo, pero ganyan po yan. Your analysis should be comprehensive. Remember that. That is why it is very critical that your study should be aligned to your specialization. Because if your study is not in line with your field of specialization, how could you make a comprehensive interpretation? How analysis? How could you be able to give an in-depth analysis to your study? You cannot do that. That is why it is recommended that you would have an analysis, or particularly a study that first thing first should be aligned to your specialization. Interpretation of results. The overall mean percentage score and proficiency level, MPS equals 41.33% and PL equals 33.56%, of the students marked the level of proficiency and the overall assessment as beginning and good respectively. This means that the students had almost half of the items correctly and only a third of them passed the assessment. Keep practicing po. Mag-practice kung paano mag-analyze at mag-interpret. Kapag po nakita po ninyo na paubos na po ang bigas po ninyo sa bahay, huwag po muna kayong gagalaw. Analyze, interpret, make it a habit. Para happy tayong lahat. Another practice. Kapag po nasusunog ng piniprito ninyong hotdog, anong gagawin? Huwag munang gagalaw. Mag-analyze. Tapos mag-interpret. Make it a habit po. Do it 3 times a day. Gagaling din po kayo. We have finally reached the end of the cliff. Let us deal on how to write basic reflections to the results. After doing a lot of things for our research, ito na po ang itaga po natin sa sarili po natin. You have results. So what? Ano ngayon? Hindi po pwedeng sulat lang po kayo ng sulat ng research kasi trip nyo lang po. Wala namang sigurong matinong tao na gano'n nang sasabihin sa sarili, ay naku, boring na ako dito sa school, walang magawa, makapag-research nga. May gano'n bang tao? Wala pong gano'n. Kung may kakilala po kayong gano'n, pakilala nyo sa akin. Napagod na po tayo sa presentation of results. Lalo pang napiga sa analysis and their interpretations. Tapos, ganun lang? Make them useful. Make them useful po. Reflect on your results. The nucleus of your reflections lies to your recommendation. Because your recommendation is a proposal for actions. And these actions are intended to improve the present conditions. The fruit of your research should lie at your recommendations. The existential aspect of your study reaches its completion by the time you finish writing your recommendations. But you cannot just write recommendations. Your recommendations should be based from your conclusions. And your conclusions should be the answers to your questions posited in the statement of the problem. Magkakadugtong po ang mga ito. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button to get notified. For more questions, itanong mo kay Sir Pat. Bye-bye!